Friends, colleagues and listeners, here we are at the end of a wonderful series here in Abu Dhabi with Etihad, and no one better to finish than Martin. Martin, love to have you back again.
Good to be back.
We've had excellent sessions with all of your team, and I've got to say, every single one of them a star, okay? A great reference for the company and everything that you guys are doing. So just to finish now, one of the things that I'd like to ask you, please, is with regards to the team, okay, what is it, and I know you're into sports yourself, what is it that you feel are the magic ingredients that all top business leaders need from their team? Okay, so not as the leader, but what do you need from the team?
I mean, as I sort of mentioned previously, it's sort of, for me, when I try and, looking at my team, assembling a team, I want people that I feel are better than me in terms of, what they're able to deliver, to really continue to sort of elevate everything that we do. I mean, it's that those individuals that are that lead their teams by example. There's that level of dedication, sort of commitment, attention to detail. It's something I pride myself on, and I expect from my leaders as well, is that they're good communicators, because that's obviously is just so important. And I think, as you've seen, with the team members that have been part of this series, we've got, I'm really proud of the team that we have. We've got some really strong people. I think some of the best people in the industry. It's leading by example. It's caring for the respective teams. And it's really sort of, from a commercial standpoint as well, ensuring that, we're always focused on, developing those partnerships, those relationships, sort of, putting the customer first. And I think because that's how you sort of, that's maybe how you sort of set yourself apart from your key competitors. Yeah. In that, always ensuring we're in front of the customer, we're there sort of doing everything that we can to support them as well. And that's, I think, we look at, again, talk about the sort of the COVID era, I think that's where we'll build up a lot more equity with our customers, our partners during that period, because we were there to support them. And they don't forget that. So then as we come out of this period, we revert maybe back to market conditions where there's a lot more choice again for our customers. It's important that Etihad remains front of mind, and they don't forget that support that we provided and that ongoing support.
And that's part of relationships as well. 100%. And we've spoken before, one of the things about relationships is not so much securing the business, but make it more difficult for your customers to want to go elsewhere, because they know exactly what they've got.
Exactly. That's so important. Yeah. So important. And as I said, in terms of we've got a very strong team, and a big thing for us as well, and I think where we've really elevated things is, and maybe taking some key learnings from the passenger side, is just what we do from a data perspective as well. We've got some really strong people that have really strong analytical capabilities, and we've really developed those teams where we've got a sizable amount of sort of analytical horsepower now that sits within the team, and it's guiding and steering the sales teams.
Next time I see Leonard, the professor, I'll tell him.
Well, he's a great example
analytical
of that.
horsepower.
And he brings a lot of that.
I know he does.
He brings a lot of that. He's as you know, Leonard, he's the professor, I think, as he's known. He's a real asset, and he's really helped us sort of just elevate things in terms of what we're doing, everything, in terms of developing data-driven strategies and just really using the vast amount of data that's available to us, but ensuring that it's being used in the right way. He's a great example.
But it's so critical, isn't it? People, I'm amazed, when you look at now what sports is able to do. So I can tell you how many tackles they made, how many assists, how many kilometres or how many miles they've run. The data is so important. And even now, I read a little book about how some of the footballers are manipulating their performance so that when it comes down to selection, or if somebody's going to buy them, it enhances their value.
Really well.
And they're actually doing it so that they would prefer to make 3 or 4 short, secure passes to keep their numbers up than a creative one, which is also, it's a little bit
manipulating the system a bit.
Yeah.
But data
is so critical.
And again, I think on the passenger side, where you've got so much more data available to you. There's been, I took a lot of key learnings from what we do there and sort of applied that now on the cargo side. But it's so important. I mean, it's sort of just ensuring that you are you're focusing in the right areas, you're extracting as much value as you can. And again, having that data available which you can then share with your customers as well. That just steers the conversation in the right way. So it's, just greater transparency and everything else. So, so important. Important.
And it also helps teach and train your managers. Because once they understand that it's not just figures or where the peaks are or where the drops are, why, what should they do, how to be ahead of the game, continuity and contingency. It's so important. It's really, really important. Now, as far as influences and successes within a team, and one of the things, and just keeping with the analogy of team sports, I think one of the most important things is getting your balance right, because everybody would like to be a centre forward and score all the goals. And nobody wants to be the one who's blamed for missing a penalty if you're a goalkeeper. But you've got left backs, you've got right backs, you've got different, you've got different combinations of positions. But if everybody is happy, and maybe happy is the wrong word, but if everybody is content and understands why they're in the position they're in, that also brings, a sort of a contentment and a balance across a team, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Whereas if everybody always wants to be, the number one or this position, that can actually be more damaging.
It certainly can. Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's about getting the balance right. It's about, so it creates that real sort of team spirit. And you're right. You need to have, a mix of people that have got different skill sets. And that's a constant thing in terms of, when you're developing a team, to ensure that when you are bringing in new people, that it adds something new to the team, because you're right, if you've got people that have all the same sort of characteristics, the same sort of skills, sort of that doesn't make for, what that leads to is a lot of sort of conflict. So it's about getting that balance right. And and there's people that you bring in, and we've had a lot of success in terms of bringing people in that maybe don't have a strong cargo background, coming from another industry. So again, it's bringing people in that have got different type of background, different experiences, and look at things maybe in a different way. And that adds a lot of value as well.
I think it's a freshness as well.
Exactly.
And also, if they've got the right attitude and focus, then you can learn the facts and the detail about a product or something, and that's easy enough. Now you've got we had a great session with Stotts, as he's known. My goodness me, what an entertaining fella, and a world of wisdom, and my goodness me. He shares an awful lot with you as well, which was really, really good. But the things that he was talking about, that understand, it's almost like a science, isn't it? Of appreciating who's where. Because an awful lot of leaders, when somebody walks through the door for an interview, if they like them immediately, or they think that there's something in alignment, that's what tends to lead them to the decision, whereas they shouldn't be doing that. Because you don't want people that you get on with all the time. You want people to challenge you in the right way. And it's having that understanding which doesn't come naturally to a lot of people. So, having his viewpoints and his very creative viewpoints, I mean, that must be
But also, Stotts is incredible. He's, the stuff that guy does, for Etihad is just phenomenal. I mean, did he speak about the World Class Wednesdays?
Yes,
So I mean, every Wednesday, and I think there's done over 100 of them now. He'll bring in an external speaker, and I mean, the quality of people.
He's already sent me two.
It's just he's phenomenal, and just how he inspires the teams and everything. I mean, he's brilliant, and it's just going back to your point in terms of when you're sort of interviewing someone initially, it's that first impression, that's the key element. But it's and also as well, I think there is, and maybe it's an element of insecurities on the side of some people, where they actually don't want to bring people into the business that they think are going to challenge them and maybe make them look sort of bad. And I think that's, as I said, I mean, it is because you want to be bringing people, and that's what I always do. I want to bring people in that are just going to help elevate, are going to challenge me, are going to, are just going to add value to the team.
And I think there's nothing better. As far as a reward to a manager is if you see something in somebody that they might not see in it themselves, and you help them be better than they can ever imagine they could be. That's a wonderful.
It is. It certainly is. Incredibly rewarding. You're right. You're right.
And that's what makes it important as you go through your career. Get as many of those people on the ladder as possible, and then when you look back, you've got your own personal satisfaction as well.
And that's part and parcel of being a strong leader is doing exactly that. And it's. You're right. It's incredibly rewarding. I can think of many people sort of within I've worked with sort of over the years that have gone on to continue to progress and everything else. And you're right. And it's a really great thing to see.
And it's those special early years and messages that make the difference. So somebody who could have influenced you in your early years must be so proud and must be so privileged when he sees you get to the heights you're at.
Yeah,
you know,
when
I see that young catwalk model, and as I've named you now, the George Clooney of the cargo industry, it's a bit of fun looking back. Now, fun, Martin, that's also something that's so important.
Yeah.
When you've got good teams, if you can all laugh at least once a day at something or together, I think that makes a huge difference as well.
Definitely. I mean, as you know, we work in with an airline sort of, in the cargo industry. It's sort of it's pretty full on. I mean, it can be very stressful at times. As we know, the airline industry is 24/7. Yeah. So it's but it's so important that you do try and make the environment you're working in as fun as possible. What I'll always try and do is sort of, with a lot of my management team is we'll go out, I think maybe once a month we'll go and, go out for dinner, sort of grab lunch or something like that, because it's sort of, it is important to get out of that sort of that environment and sort of, and then obviously encourage that. We're always focused again, sort of as part of the whole sort of EOH sort of process that we have. There's always sort of, we have budget allocated to, teams sort of building exercises and sort of just doing stuff, getting people out of the office together. Because again, that's how you create, a real sort of team spirit.
Yeah, those sessions, Martin, where you involve everybody, and I mean that's what really builds team spirit.
Yeah. And
then when you really need to rely on people, or they need to rely on their colleagues, because of that, it just cements it. It makes people do things that they, that sometimes you can't ask them to do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. And I think it's obviously what's so important is recognising, strong performance. And that, I think, we do very well. We have sort of stars of the month, sort of, we've got the Sales Excellence Awards now as well, where on a quarterly basis we'll have 2 individuals from cargo, 2 individuals from passenger sales. Really some standout sort of, achievements. And they're basically, and as part of that, what they get to do is we bring them in. If they're in an outstation, we bring them into Abu Dhabi, and it's basically all expenses sort of paid for a long weekend in Abu Dhabi. And those that are here in Abu Dhabi, they can go somewhere in the network and things like that. And things like that is, that means a lot to people. Recognising, the incredible achievements that are being made. And then also, as well as you said about, just in terms of, making sure the work environment is as fun as possible, because. I mean, it is pretty full on at times, and it is important to get the teams out of the office environment, sort of to team building exercises, going out for dinner, whatever it may be. Because that's how you really start to build relationships within the team as well. Getting people out of the office.
100%. And with the industry now suffering from high attrition levels and people just jumping, etc., it's so important. And, and ironically. Salary is probably the one that would be the last point that would then make people want to go, but it's not. It's not the first one to make people want to leave. Obviously, it's bad management, but it's also lack of recognition, development, career. So if you get all of those 4 or 5 ahead of that, it shows how important the environment is over just the financial returns.
Definitely. And obviously during COVID, I mean, on the cargo side, it was sort of retention of staff was difficult because there was. So much opportunity out there for people. Everyone in the cargo business was doing so well, and people were getting rewarded sort of financially, but just in other ways as well. But there was a lot of opportunity out there for people, and of course on the passenger side now, where we've seen this incredible sort of bounce back in terms of passenger demand. Again, there's a lot of opportunity out there for you. So retention of your good people is difficult, right? So and it's not all about financial reward. It's about just ensuring that they enjoy coming to work. And
being part of something, and understanding the journey and the storyline.
Well, that's exactly it. Giving that clarity is so important in terms of what the strategy is, what the vision is. And making sure that they all buy into that. I mean, look, we do sort of, regular town halls, regular sort of, we have a sort of a monthly newsletter that goes out as well. Just making sure that everyone's really kept up to date with everything that's going on. And I have to say as well, I mean, Tony Douglas was very good at it as well, but Antonello Neves, the new CEO, has come in. I mean, he's a great communicator. He really is, and on a monthly basis, providing sort of a video update to the teams. He also now, as well, every fortnight will select a division where he will come in and sort of wants to talk to them face to face in terms of just providing insights into what's going on, what the key priorities are. Obviously, welcomes questions, and it's so
that's
important.
Good. Yeah,
so important.
Yeah,
it's very good.
That's good. No, that's excellent. Now, something that I've left to the end, which is obviously something that always normally comes at the beginning and should have that real focus. And I know it's part of your toolkit, and it's part of something that you're always attentive to, the customer.
Yeah.
Which is the reason we're all here at the end of the day. Now, having a customer-centric culture as well as safety and security and quality is so important. But with regards to your air cargo partner of choice, tagline, and also being close to the customers and special products, and having Abu Dhabi as the main fulcrum of everything that goes on. How important are customers to you, and why?
Well, of course they are. They are the forefront of everything we do. We are. Without them, we wouldn't sort of be able to survive, of course. So, those customers, those partners are. We're always focused on how we can get better in terms of supporting them. And I think because of the relationships that we've built up, and as I said, as I mentioned, before, around the equity, I think that we built up during COVID in particular, because we were, we really were, did everything we could to support them. That's something that I think will hold us in good stead. As I mentioned before, before I came back to cargo, I think we'd lost our way a little bit in terms of from a commercial standpoint. And that was my number one priority, was to really strengthen those partnerships again. And that's what we've really been focused on over the last couple of years. And of course, in terms of it's the service, you've got to provide a strong service. So there is so much focus on providing, the best service possible. And I think as a result of, by building those strong relationships, it doesn't, and really talking about the value proposition and everything else, it doesn't then get into these discussions necessarily when it's all about price. You could, and we go back to sort of the whole data-driven piece as well, in terms of ensuring you're using the data in the right way to have those conversations where it doesn't just then come down to price. Actually, there's a bit of give and take, and you're able to strike the sort of the right balance. And of course, with these big global logistic companies that we partner with, these guys control business all over our network. So it's about leveraging those relationships, the business that they have. So so it's a bit of give and take. We'll give you access to capacity on this prime constrained route, but then I need some support on these other lanes that are a bit weaker. So, and it's being a bit more strategic in the way that we sort of we approach those relationships. But look, I mean, the customers at the heart of everything we do, and that's company wide. That's something we really sort of pride ourselves on.
It is, and it's a logical statement, and it's an obvious thing to say. But there's an awful lot of organisations now, and especially coming out of COVID, Martin, they've lost the fact that the customer is the reason that they're all there.
And I think also as well, and again, we talked about it before, in terms, I think, with the size of carrier we are, and we talk about that consistency in terms of service and everything else, but also as well, I think that, I think maybe with some of our competitors that are far bigger, there's a degree of arrogance that comes with that. In that you need to work with us because of the size that we are, and there's always going to be an element. These forwarders are going to have to work with them because they can't be ignored. But I think when you're then trying to take things a bit further, sort of being, trying to really extract as much value from that partnership. The fact if you have that much stronger relationship, maybe a different approach in that, you're always being seen there to support them. Then I think we've always punched above our weight as a result of that, because of the relationships that we have, because we've always been focused on delivering as best we can for the customer.
And I remember that term way back. Focus,
I mean, when we look at, we talk about data, measuring our fair share. We're always punching above our weight. We're always going more than our fair share. Now, you've got to be careful that you don't have way above your fair share, because you think, okay, maybe from a pricing perspective, we're giving away a bit.
Exactly.
There's a reason there. So you're always constantly analysing why. But in general, we're always getting it right, and we're always, as I said, we're always punching above our weight, and that's because of the quality of the team that we have. It's because of the quality of the products, service we provide, and it's most important, it's because of the relationships that we have.
And the spirit. I think that's a perfect place to finish, Martin. It's been fantastic. Spend a bit of time with you as well. And to you and your team, we wish you great success. Thanks very much for the opportunity, and been really enjoyable from my perspective.
Likewise, Chris. It's been really good talking to you.
Thanks very much, Martin. Thank you.
Thank you.